How many calls you got?
Just two.
Just
Just two.
Yeah,
I'll put them together and talk to each
Hey,
other.
John, could you send those two or three letters? that you had?
Yeah.
I don't know. Cliff is in Florida. Which is why I'm surprised to see you here. I thought you'd go down there.
No, I postponed it for this meeting.
Wow, okay.
That's dedication.
We appreciate that.
Exactly. No, I was supposed to.
I thought you mentioned something about
I couldn't make it.
this one
Okay, we'll call the regular meeting of January 11th to order by pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, take it away.
John Brewer,
Here.
Kathy Jordan, Art Christie, John Horn,
here.
Joanne Kell,
Here.
Alan Shiner,
Here.
Clifford Butler.
So everybody had a chance to go through the minutes of the previous meeting?
Turn your mic on, Lee.
We got that at the workshop meeting.
Turn your mic on. On?
Any corrections or revisions of the minutes?
No.
Motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, communications. We have the email and letter from Ms. Taylor, and for the Phoenician neighbors. Everybody's got that? Have gone through that? All right, old business. Catskill Mountain Railroad. We left off our workshop meeting that we would send everything to Mr. Olson. And Mr. Olson replied, I do not believe the planning board has any basis to grant the application, and the only option I see is for the planning board to refer this to the ZBA for an interpretation.
Now, who's,
Read the rest of it.
Although I don't see much of a reason for that.
who's that from now?
Our attorney.
he said something about you don't see him recently. Did he say that, or did you say that?
That's all.
So, seems to me, since the interpretation of public transportation has been challenged, that would be would have to go back before the zoning board for interpretation as to how that relates to our code.
Is the Catskill Mountain Railroad a 501c3 not-for-profit?
No.
No.
I hate to see it go for the zoning board because they have 45 days to move the cars. I feel as though our hands are tied, but I'm not the whole planning board. Everyone has to make their own determination here. We have a certificate of incorporation of Catskill Mountain Railroad Company, where it says to engage generally in the operation and maintenance of Class 2, Class 3 short line railroads, to contract and engage in operation of commercial and commuter services, to engage in freight or passenger car leasing, to operate and maintain railroad piggyback or container lines, to engage in tourist operations by rail, and any other railroad operations and services. But you've seen the opinion of our attorney.
No, I thought I saw somewhere in the package that from the county, all, I thought they gave them more time to,
45 days.
oh, that's what.
Yeah. That's,
Oh, I think you meant the ZBA.
no, it goes to ZPA, and then they would have to send it for the next month's meeting for a public hearing. So you're looking at two months at least.
Well, the trails sit on the tracks, don't they? The county won't like it. That's what it is. It is what it is. They can't bring them anywhere else. They can't get them to Kingston unless they get them into that yard. So they gotta sit where they are.
Just trying to find that letter that you're from the county.
I-
There's this one here. Yeah, the commission.
Yeah, I had one right from the county that said what the timing was.
I had it, but I guess I didn't bring it.
Yeah, December 15th to January 29th. 45 days. I just feel bad because it seems like it's always nice when the community can get together and create a solution to a problem rather than divide the community. So I've been distraught a little bit over this whole thing, but we have to go by what our regulations say, what governs the planning board. And I feel as though we don't have the authority to go either way on this, that we would have to send it to a zoning board interpretation of, is it a public transportation, by the standards of our code, by the interpretation of our code? That's not for us to decide, that's for the zoning board.
I think since our attorneys recommended that we send to the ZBA, it seems to me we don't have much choice whether we like it or not. You ask for the attorney's opinion, and then you get it.
I don't fault Warren at all about sending it here because we do have in the town code that any ambiguity and interpretation of our code goes to the sides with the applicant. So I can understand why Warren sent it to the planning board. But investigating it, I don't think we do have that authority to rule on this. But like I say, that's my opinion. It's up to the members also. So.
I have a question for Ms. Taylor. I have a letter in front of me, and it says your name on it, and it says and other Phoenician neighbors. How many other neighbors are concerned about this?
Well, I have letters from about 50 people, and then there are about 20 more who couldn't be listed as part because either they work for the town or they had high visibility, but they said they felt strongly about it. So it's a large number.
And they're all neighbors? I don't see that many houses when I go
On that
down.
road, do you?
No, they're not all people from High Street. They're throughout the town and surrounding area.
How many people are actually neighbors?
Most of the people on Lower High Street and then on the High Street. But those aren't the only people concerned.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how many neighbors there are. Are there 4 or 5 houses on High Street?
There's 5 or 6.
They're not here tonight. They weren't here last meeting. They weren't
Some
here.
are away.
They've never
some
been, oh, they
have
were away.
sick parents, and other have a stroke, but they speak with me often
Yeah.
and are highly concerned.
Has everyone had a chance to go down to the site?
Yeah.
These cars are between the properties of the museum property.
Just to repeat, they're half on the railroad property and a half on the county property.
No, just that one track. Yeah.
One track. And the proposal is to move them about 15, 20 feet further away from this camp.
Yeah, it makes sense to do it. It makes a good landing site to move these cars out onto trucks. But our hands are tied, I think.
I have another question. Somewhere I read when the railroad was started and located there. Does anybody have that information to refresh my memory, how long ago the railroad started there?
No, there wasn't. The Catskill Mountain Railroad Company was.
No, I'm saying the railroad from the beginning. Was it
The original
100
railroad.
years or something?
It is.
It's approximately 100 years?
Yeah,
More.
probably more.
Okay.
It's over 100 years.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
It's over 100 years.
1870,
All right.
And apparently the surveying mistake was done by the original railroad. Not this railroad, but the original Delaware and wherever.
What mistake?
Where they put their tracks half on the other property.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Well,
No, that was added later.
Yeah.
They tore all the sidings out. So that track is now half on, half off.
yeah, but somebody put it there.
Somebody put it there, but it was not the original railroad that put that there.
Did the county put it there?
Now I understand the county put it there either.
Did the Catskill Mountain Railroad put it there?
Either that entity or the entity prior to them, but that was not part of the original. The original, the tracks almost went, the sidings almost went out to the creek. And there was a spur that went up, Stony Cove spur went up from that location also.
So what I'm driving at is somebody made a mistake and put the tracks
Yep.
on the wrong property, which is now creating a hardship for the Catskill Mountain Railroad.
Yes, sir.
Maybe Gary, it was better. Here, as I can figure, the division of the county right-of-way and the rest of the lands over there, which is owned by Catskill Mountain Railroad, happened after the breakup. And so it just happened to be, it's only about 1 foot, one rail is about 1 foot on the county. It goes in and out, but it's not half and half, it's less than a third. And I speak because I'm a neighbor, I'm the president of the Railroad Museum. And basically, I see the Catskill Mountain Railroad acting in good faith with the county and this group, trying to solve the problem, the mandates that they were given, and they spent considerable amount of money, as you well know if you've been down there, to prepare for moving the cars off until such time as they can move them out. But then there was this new, and they had permission from the zoning board, but then that was reversed, putting them in a catch-22 with a deadline on it. And I believe that's the reason why they got the extension. One of the reasons they got the extension from the county, because the county sees this as really an unfair imposition on their plans. There's only about a foot of the rail on the county property, right away. The rest of it's on Catskill Mountain.
This property, the Catskill Mountain Railroad, has a history of being there for storage and that for the railroad. From back in the, I've checked the deeds, back in the deeds here. This one is dated 1967. From the New York Central Railroad to Tannersville Supply Corporation. It has a reservation. It says, however, reserved, however, to the grantor, its lessees, licensees, invitees, patrons, agents, employees, contractors, and workmen, the permanent and perpetual right and easement of ingress and egress upon the westerly portion of Parcel A, here and above described from the time to time and at all times as shall be necessary or desirable for the purpose of team track loading, unloading, operating over the railroad track of the grantor located upon its remaining lands adjacent to the southwesterly line of said parcel. Such access and entry for the aforementioned purposes to be made over the westerly portion of said parcel to include the right to utilize as much area of said westerly portion of said parcel as many as may be required for said purposes, for backup space and for all purposes reasonably incident or connected with the exercise of the right and easement here and above reserved. But that reserves to the grantor and those others that were mentioned. If it had said an assignees, then there wouldn't be any problem with this property being used as storage of cars. But it doesn't say an assignees, so.
If I may, I think it's more than that. The truth of the matter is that this particular applicant does not qualify as a public transportation corporation. Their paperwork wasn't done properly, it wasn't done completely. In order for them to have the authority they say they have the position that they say they have that qualifies them for this, they're required under the highway law to go to the Commissioner of Transportation. They did not. And I believe, to a large degree, that's the reason for the attorney's opinion. And if you read the entire letter again, you will see that they say, A, you don't have the authority to do it. B, you could send it to the ZBA for an interpretation. But C, because they don't qualify, I don't see much sense in that. I certainly do understand that you as volunteers are really looking to try and help the community out. Not everybody agrees that this is the proper use for this property. And this history you're talking about, yes, but that was long ago and it was abandoned for a substantial period of time. And your attorney has told you that there is another way of looking at this. I know you'd like to solve the problem. You don't have the legal authority to solve the problem.
I think it's sad that they have a proposed solution which would move these railroad equipment further away from Miss Taylor.
But it's not just Miss Taylor. It's the use of the property for that purpose.
Not just
which is the reason there's another side to this.
I don't see anybody else besides Miss Taylor.
Well, you were asked that question and she told you that 53 people have signed on.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think we...
And 20 other people have told her that they haven't signed on, but they are in sympathy.
Where's this list?
We're not gonna
That
have,
list was provided to the ZBA.
we're not having a
the last
debate here.
time this
We already had the
application
public, we're not gonna have a debate.
Okay.
May I
No.
Can we give them a permit for not storage, just to remove their equipment via that line?
We can't. That I know of, there's no, nothing.
Without granting them the right to store this stuff there? Would that be a solution?
It would if we had something in our code. I mean, some towns have something specifically in their code for temporary storage when someone's building a house and they temporarily put a trailer where it's not allowed by zoning to live in until the house is done. Some towns have that in their code, but we don't have that.
I have a question. I have this letter in front of me, January 10th, from Ms. Taylor,
Yes.
and it says, and the Phoenician neighbors, and we just cleared that up, that's 5 or 6 neighbors in the proximate area. And then it says down here, a special use permit would permanently industrialize the vulnerable residential properties. Well, I don't think that it would permanently industrialize it. But may I ask you, when you purchased your house, how long ago?
I moved to town in 2001, and I bought that house in 2003. Some of the people have been on the street since 50s, 60s.
Okay. So we're looking at permanently industrialize and the vulnerability of residential properties, but that railroad was there when you purchased your property. You were completely aware of the situation.
No, they weren't storing cars there on the tracks. They've been moving them up. And that came up in the meetings with the CBA where the neighbors came and said they're adding trains that weren't there before. No, there was just a beautiful, small little museum that we love. But the letter also says that the county has given permission to have them, to give them an extension, another extension, and to move their cars, and there's 2.5 miles where they can be stored around Kingston. And the county has said they would do that, and we've given a name of the commissioner there to speak with.
I do see that, and I will check into that.
And so that would not leave them in jeopardy. That would give them a very good solution.
How would they move them?
How would they move? That's the thing.
How are they gonna move them
Well,
from
how
here?
they move them off? Trains can be moved on flatbed trucks. I've seen Harry move in that way. The wheels come off, and they're huge flatbed trucks. Like if a truck breaks down on the highway, or they take big buildings, things that are as big as trains, and so they can be moved down that way. But they moved things up. They brought up the steam engine, which is probably, I don't know a lot about these things, but that's probably a very, very heavy one.
That was the RSA railway.
Yes, and that, so it can be done. And I don't know about things like moving trains, but the county does, and they have said it's possible. And I have seen Harry bring in the trains on flatbed trucks.
It's not a question of whether they can move it. It ultimately comes down to the time frame.
To what?
Okay? The time frame.
Right.
They have a limited amount of time, and to coordinate to move all of the equipment to that 2.5 mile section down in Kingston, in the amount of time that they have remaining, okay, seems a little bit strict. Not necessarily impossible, but now you're creating a huge financial burden for them to have to scramble at the last minute to do this.
But it
Their
says on the
potential,
letter-
they did not say they were not going to move the trains out of Phoenicia. Okay, their